there YouTube, welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to make a video on the subject of friends and being a Jehovah's Witness for the series Stuff That Didn't Make Sense to Me. And for this video I wanted to use a Watchtower publication, namely, let's see what the exact title of the book is. Questions Young People Ask, Answers That Work, Volume 1. Will answers that work? Really? I can decide that for myself. But first of all I want to talk about some stuff that didn't make sense to me regarding having friends in the organization. Because the publications always state that the best friends you can find are in Jehovah's Witness land, actually. That it's best not to have any more contact than necessary with worldly people, and worldly people are often portrayed as overall bad people, bad association, people who curse, people who are not honest, people who steal or maybe are violent, or they always have these negative personality traits. But that's complete BS. I mean, we all know that, right? For the people who have friends that are not Jehovah's Witnesses and also had friends while being a Jehovah's Witness and who weren't Jehovah's Witnesses, we know that that's just not true. But when you're raised in this isolated group, this high control group, it's hard to say what is true actually, because if you're completely isolated from the outside world, you really don't know what people are like. Well, my youth wasn't like that. First I started to go to meetings, I guess, when I was 9 or 10 years old. Or I started with the book studies who were held at people's homes. Later on I went to the meetings with some friends till the age of 18, somewhere around that time. But I've always had friends outside their religion, and my mom never told me not to spend any time with them. Growing up, I had a hard time making friends. I was bullied a lot. But later on, from the age of 14, I guess, I befriended some girls from my class. Yeah, we haven't been in contact since quite a while now, but you know how that goes, right? When you move to another town, you don't see each other that often. Everyone has his job, his family, so yeah, that's how it goes. But I befriended some girls from my class, and one was non-religious, the other was a member of the Baptist church. She was pretty religious. And I also had friends from my congregation, but I guess maybe 2 or 3 people only. I didn't have a lot of people to choose from, you know. There weren't a lot of young people necessarily. Yeah, I hung out with some people regularly, but actually there was only one friend really who I hung out with on a regular basis. First I befriended this girl from this family, and later on I befriended her brother, who became my super bestie during our teenage years. And I talked on that subject in my first video, I guess. Bad association, well, you know how it goes, what is told about outsiders. But we were, maybe we were a little bit bad association for one another, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't really that rebellious because, yeah, I don't want people to come talk to me or counsel me or whatever. So I kept my rebellious streak on the down low, actually. But my friend, he was, I guess he's 2 years younger than me, 1.5 years. And he was always very rebellious. So we went to the Kingdom Hall. We walked there because it's very close by where we lived. And he just had his phone on and played like super loud metal music or whatever. And I was like, shh, just put your phone away. Like, what are people going to think? And he just didn't give a damn. He was so... yeah, I don't care what people think of me. And he isn't a witness anymore, so... but we rekindled our friendship, and next week he's going to visit me here. We're going to have a slumber party, so I'm super pumped for the reunion, so it's going to be great. But he was actually my my regular best friend actually, and maybe that was for a period of a couple of years, so maybe 2-3 years, and then I moved out of town to where I was going to study. To me, there wasn't a difference between my worldly friends and my Jehovah's Witness friends, because hey, I don't befriend someone because he or she is from the same religion as I am. I really don't care. Other qualities are more important, and I want to see what the Young People Ask book wants to suggest on that theme, because let's see, we go to page 57. Here I have the English version, so I can read it to y'all. It's chapter 8, I guess. No, it's chapter 2. Chapter 2 is your identity. And the first thing that's going to be talked about is friends on page 57. And the title is How Can I Make Good Friends? First, there is a quote, which is very interesting, because all those quotes, nobody knows if they're real. Probably not, but it's supposed to be a legit quote from a real Jehovah's Witness. Well, I don't know. And this one is from Brittany. She says, if I'm angry, I need someone to vent to. If I'm sad, I want someone to tell me it's going to get better. If I'm happy, I want to share that with someone. To me, friends are a necessity. That's not a bad quote, although maybe it's fake. It seems legit. It seems like someone could have said that. And it's a logical thing to say. Friends are a necessity. Most people don't like to live as a hermit on their own. It's been said that little children need playmates, whereas adolescents need friends. What's the difference? A playmate is someone who keeps you company. A friend is someone who also shares your values. I don't agree with that, really, because children also need friends, right? I mean, growing up is kind of hard, although we as adults think that children don't have any real problems. But when it comes to bullying, yeah, I understand that you would need a good friend as a kid. I mean, I was bullied myself for a long time, and it was a lonely time in my life, I guess, because I didn't have any friends. And when I had friends, then I really hoped they wouldn't go away, because I would be alone again, and being bullied just sucks. You just want to have someone who has your back, right? So it's not true that children don't need friends. Although the level of friendship is maybe kind of simplified or different than adolescents have, I guess. So let's see what the Young People Ask book says. Furthermore, the Bible says that a true companion is loving all the time and is a brother that is born for when there is distress. Proverbs 17, verse 17. And that's a good one. Although kind of ironic, because if you're a baptized Jehovah's Witness and you decide you don't want to be in this organization anymore, or you just don't believe it anymore, you get shunned. Even if you're not disfellowshipped, you can be shunned by your friends because you become the bad association. So the true companions, they leave you in your distress. That's probably describing a deeper kind of friendship than you found as a child at the playground. Well, probably that's true. So here are some strange intermezzos. Fact: as you progress toward adulthood, you need friends who have admirable qualities, live by praiseworthy standards, and 3, have a positive influence on you. And the question is, how can you find friends who fit that profile? Let's examine one factor at a time. The first one is admirable qualities. What you should know. Not everyone who claims to be a friend has what it takes to live up to the label. The Bible even says that there exist companions disposed to break one another to pieces. That's kind of dramatic. That might sound extreme. Yes, it does. But consider, have you ever had a friend who took advantage of you? What about one who talked behind your back or spread false rumors about you? Such an experience can shatter your trust. And the footnote says, of course, Everyone makes mistakes. So when a friend hurts you but then expresses genuine remorse, remember that love covers a multitude of sins. Yes and no. Most of us experienced this friend who really wasn't your friend but only took advantage of you. And that's really too bad that people can behave in this way, because it can shatter your trust in people, and that's a bad thing. And of course, if someone is really sorry and expresses his remorse, then you can choose to forgive such a person or not. But sometimes you have to cut out the toxic people from your life, because someone who tries to take advantage of you, someone who lies to you, someone who isn't completely honest, yeah, that's not the kind of person you want to be around, right? Always remember that when it comes to friends, quality is more important than quantity. And that is a very good one, because it's better to have a couple of friends who you can count on than a lot of superficial friends that really don't care about you. So, and then there's this advice given, what you can do. Choose as friends those who have qualities that are worthy of imitation. Well, I really don't agree with that, because I mean, everyone's unique, everyone has good qualities. Why would you want to imitate someone? That's kind of weird and creepy and strange. Here's this quote. Everyone has such a positive view of my friend Fiona. I want to be spoken of in a good way too. I want the same reputation she has. To me, that's admirable, says Yvette, 17. Maybe when you're 17 you still can handle peer pressure, so... Then there's an exercise, blah blah blah. Read a text. Friendship factor number 2. Praiseworthy standards. What you should know. The more desperate you are for friends, the more likely you will be to settle for the wrong kind. The Bible says, he that is having dealings with the stupid ones will fare badly. The term stupid ones does not refer to people who get bad grades or even who lack intelligence. Rather, it describes those who turn their back on sound reasoning and instead follow a morally insensible course. That's the kind of friends you can do without. About being desperate for friends, I can understand that Jehovah's Witness kids or adolescents can be desperate for friends, because they get the advice to look for friends amongst themselves. So if there are not so much young people in your congregation, then I can understand why you can get desperate, because young people like to be popular, to get the recognition they're looking for. So it says in the Bible that he that is having dealings with the stupid ones will fare badly. Not necessarily, because people can think on their own, which is obviously not encouraged in the Jehovah's Witness organization. They describe being stupid as turning their back on sound reasoning and following a morally insensible course. They already give this definition for stupid, right? I mean, it's not really obvious what is meant by stupid in the Bible, but the Watchtower explains it this way. And morally insensible, of course, it's about sex, right? Because in Jehovah's Witness language, when it comes to morals, it's always about sex. I mean, this organization has an obsession with sex, I don't know. But if a worldly person would have to describe the term moral or morally, they would explain it like, oh, stuff that is good and bad, ethics. But when you see in the Watchtower or in this kind of publication the term immoral, it always refers to sex stuff. I mean, in the normal world, immoral could also mean someone who isn't honest, someone who steals, someone who murders, someone who rapes, like people who don't have morals. I mean, and it only has to do with sex, right? So obviously you shouldn't befriend someone who is having sex before marriage or who is promiscuous. Although it doesn't affect you, I understand why they would say that if you are friends with someone like that, you will fare badly, because if you are around someone who's very promiscuous, people can have the same idea about you. Supposedly, Jesus said that, tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. So the reason the advice that's given is, instead of making friends with just anyone, be discriminating. No, it's not to say you should be prejudiced. In this context, being discriminating means that you're perceptive enough to see the distinction between a righteous one and a wicked one, between one serving God and one who has not served him. It's very black and white thinking this, see the distinction between a righteous one and a wicked one. Because here, a righteous one is someone that believes in God and serves him rightly, and the wicked one is someone who doesn't believe in God at all, I guess. But it's very loaded language, like wicked one. What does it even mean? So actually it says you can only befriend people that are Jehovah's Witnesses as well. There are some suggestions given that you should talk to your parents about friendships and introduce your friends to your parents. Well, I never really did like that, not because I was ashamed of my friends, but because I was ashamed of my family and my parents. And there are some suggestions. Be a good listener, be forgiving, give your friends some space. Well, those are all good suggestions. And now we have friendship factor number 3, positive influence. So, what you should know. The Bible states bad companies ruin good character. A youth named Lauren says, my schoolmates accepted me as long as I did just what they told me to do. I was lonely, so I decided to act like them just so I'd fit in. Lauren found out that when you conform to other standards, you are like a pawn on a chessboard, being moved around at their whim. You deserve better than that. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, of course. What you can do. Cut off ties with those who insist that you can change to conform to their lifestyle. Wait, this is a very interesting one. Because what other kinds of people insist that you change to conform to their lifestyle? Exactly, Watchtower. So here it is, cut off ties with those people. If you take this step, you may have fewer friends, but you'll feel better about yourself and you'll open the door to better friendships, the kind that will influence you in a positive way. Well, a good friend is someone who lets you be you and who doesn't want to change you, that you become a totally different person unless you're not really a good person to begin with and someone wants to have a positive influence on you, like getting you off the drugs or whatever. But otherwise, you really don't have a reason to change your personality in order to be liked by someone, because that's not real friendship. That's just controlling and manipulation. It's very important, not only as an adolescent, but also as an adult, to recognize when friendships are toxic, when friendships aren't good for you. And in my lifetime, I had to end friendships as well. I didn't do that in a very tactical way, maybe. I should have been more diplomatic. But when emotions are running high, it's very hard to be diplomatic. For example, I had this relationship with this guy for 4 years, almost 4 years. And I befriended his friends as well. And his friends just became my friends, not only when he was around, but we hung out without my boyfriend. When my boyfriend broke up with me after 4 years, I was really devastated. His friends, who were also my friends at that time, they already knew for a very long time that he did want to break up with me. And they didn't tell me anything. And they weren't really surprised when we broke up. And I understand if you're dealing with this dilemma. I mean, you don't want to hurt one person, and you also don't want to give up someone's privacy. You just don't want to come in between. But when you're friends with two people who are in the same relationship, then in that kind of situation, it can be really hard to decide what to do. I don't want to be friends with someone who can be honest with me, because if I would have been those guys, I would told my ex-boyfriend, like, listen, if you don't want to be with her, just tell her, be honest, because I'm not going to be in this triangle. You have to be honest, or I'll tell her myself, something like that, but I understand that it's kind of hard in that kind of situation. And afterwards, I still was friends with two of them. But it became kind of hard because I knew they were still hanging around with my boyfriend, and although they really had nothing to do with the breakup, it felt kind of like betrayal. I felt kind of betrayed because I mean it's really disgusting, like how it all ended up, because we broke up, and after a month I just wanted to talk with him after all the dust had settled. Well, it didn't really settle because I was still really broken up about it. And he told me he already had dated this other girl, and I was like, what? Obviously there was something more between them when we were in a relationship, so I felt really betrayed. So I couldn't be friends with these guys anymore, who also were his friends. And one of these guys had this excuse, well, we don't see each other very often. And I was like, I don't care. I don't care. I mean, you know the situation. You know he's like a freaking horrible person. Maybe not as a friend, but he betrayed me, like completely. He mentally cheated. And maybe that sounds like this horrible feminazi thing to say, but it's not okay. It's not okay to already find your plan B and then just break it off with person A. Actually, that's disgusting. That's not okay. So I had to break off these friendships, and it's kind of sad because we could have been good friends still, but I just couldn't. I couldn't be friends with someone who didn't really have my back. So, but now at the moment, I have really great friends. And last time when I was on holiday, I went with my mom and my stepdad. I really miss my friends, and I thought by myself, wow, I'm really blessed with these great friends who have my back, who care about me, and I care about them. I've never had such good friends as I have now. And I think it's very important to have good friends, because you'll need those people later on, and they will need you, and we all need each other. If you don't have any friends and you fall in hard times, if it's financially, emotionally, whatever, you would be really happy to have some friends, because it's easier to get through hard times when you're not on your own and lonely. Please share your own experiences when having friends as a Jehovah's Witness or outside. If you want to tell something about that, please tell me in the comments. Thank you for watching. It's been a long video, but if you made it through till this moment, thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.